Hi everybody, my name is Wart. I'm here with Wart Magic, and today we're going to talk about a modern deck called Orzhov tokens, or black-white tokens as most of you know it. So first up, the core of the deck. You have two very important 3-drops in this deck, Lingering Souls and Spectral Procession. When we take a look at Lingering Souls, most of you people already know it, it's just for the people who don't. Is a 3 mana, 1 white, 2 generic sorcery to put two 1/1 white spirit creature tokens with flying onto the battlefield, and it flashbacks for 1 and a black. Well, this is of course very good. We've seen it in standard just a few months ago, and now even Jund decks in modern are splashing white to play this and Ajani and Lightning Helix, but also this card. But I wanted to make a deck that revolves around making the tokens, so this is a very important one. Then we have Spectral Procession, which is of course, it's like your Lingering Souls copies 5 through 8. It's 3 white mana or 6 generic mana, or 2 white mana and 2 generic, or 1 white mana and 4 generic, you know the deal, to put 3 1/1 flying spirit tokens onto the battlefield. Well, while being a little less good than Lingering Souls, it's still a powerhouse. It made its own constructed deck. Black-White Tokens was a deck back then when Spectral Possession was legal in Standard. As for other token makers, I personally like using 2 of each of these, Entreaty Angels and Raise the Alarm. Raise the Alarm can be, because it's an instant, it can be a nice combat trick to destroy a creature with toughness 2 or less, or you can just create 2 guys in their end step and attack with them the next turn. It's a great thing to do early on in the game, because your most important spells are the Lingering Souls and the Spectral Procession, both costing in at 3 mana, so you need something to do in the earlier turns. Raise the Alarm fits that role very well. Entreaty Angels, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. It's a late game card. When you miracle it on turn, say 7 or 8, you're probably getting 3 or 4 4/4 angel tokens, and that's no joke. Most decks can't come back from it. At least not game 1. Maybe they will find answers for it game 2 and 3. But it's really good for breaking a stalemate, or possibly even winning the mirror. It's very good in the mirror. And then we have the final token supporter in Sorin, Lord of Innistrad. It's also a pump spell, but its most relevant abilities are the first two. The +1 to put a 1/1 black vampire with lifelink onto the battlefield is of course amazing when you're playing a token deck. And the -2 to get an emblem with creatures you control, get +1/+0. It's just another anthem effect to make your tokens bigger. The lifelink on the vampires can actually matter quite a lot, and you just need a good solid 4-drop, and Sorin is, in my opinion, better than other options like Elspeth, but that's just my personal opinion. I also just like Sorin more than Elspeth, so that's my personal view. The other pump spells that are possible for this deck are mostly the Honor of the Pure effects, like 2 mana, +1/+1 for all your creature effects. You have Honor of the Pure for all your white guys. You have Intangible Virtue for all your tokens. You also get Vigilance, which is very relevant. You can win a lot of combats just by having the Vigilance on your flyers, and they can attack and they can stay back to block next turn. That's very important. You can break open stalemates as well, and just be an awesome card. And then you have Zealous Persecution. It's a one-time, all your guys get +1/+1, and their guys get -1/-1. Well, it turns out that's a very good card. You can just destroy a weenie deck and make it like an overrun for you, so it's very good. Unfortunately, for my own version of this deck, I do not run Zealous Persecution or Honor of the Pure. I run 4 Intangible Virtue, because the other cards I just haven't got around to getting them yet, and mainly 4 Anthem effects is enough. I would like to run 2 Zealous Persecutions instead of the Entreaty Angels we saw just before, but I just don't have them yet, because my local store is out of them. But I will get them soon. Then the creatures in the deck. We're running 8 creatures. 4 Doom Traveler, because he's essentially a 2/1 on his own. He's something to do early in the game, which we needed, as I told you before. And well, when he dies, you get a 1/1 spirit. So unless they have a path to exile, you're always gonna get another guy out of your one drop, and that's very important for me because also the guy you get is a token, so it gets bumped by the intangible virtues. The Doom Traveler itself doesn't get bumped, which is a bit of a disadvantage, which maybe Honor of the Pure would fix that, but hey, it's my choice, it's my deck. Title Scholar, on the other hand, is more of a disruptive card, but it can also bring beats. It's a 2/2 for 2, and when it enters the battlefield, it does a Thoughtseize. So mainly, you look at their hand, you choose a non-land card from it, and you remove it from the game. And when Title Scholar dies, the opponent gets the card back. But that's not really important, because you're giving them a tempo disadvantage, and they have to either kill your Title Scholar or lose the card. So you're putting them in an awkward position, and you can pretty easily rip the removal spell out of their hand, or in some of the troublesome matchups like Tron, you can take the Karn Liberated, which is a very big problem for this deck. Just the entire Tron matchup, so having as many effects to rip apart their hand as possible is quite good. And that brings me to the next point, the Disruption Suite. Of course, when you're playing white, you have to play Path to Exile, obviously. It's the best removal spell in the modern format, in my opinion. Basically because everybody is playing like 3 or 4 basics, maybe 5 or 6, and usually when you cast the first path they have one, when you cast the second one they have one, but after a amount of time your path just gets bumped up to a crazy amount of extra value where you just exile the creature and they can't find the basic land. Now, this doesn't happen all the time, but still it's one of the catch-alls for creatures. And on the other hand, you have the Thoughtseize effects like Thoughtseize, Inquisition, and Duress. I personally run 1 Thoughtseize and 3 Duress in my deck, no Inquisition, because I want to get rid of the big spells like Cryptic Commands, Karn Liberated, Birthing Pods, Kiki-Jikis, Splinter Twins, like the combo pieces of the combo decks, just to disrupt them even more than I already do with my Title Scholar. I play 4 in the main and I play 3 extra Thoughtseize in the side. Why I don't play 4 Thoughtseize main is because the 2 life loss can be quite important if you do it on turn 1 and you're on the play and you're facing like mono red burn. Then you just did yourself 5 damage approximately on the first turn to find the Thoughtseize and use it. And that's not really what we're looking for, so that's why 1 Thoughtseize, 3 Duress. Then we go to the mana base. We have a lot of options when we look at white-black. We have, of course, the Ravnica Dual Lands, Godless Shrine, the Isolated Chapel from Innistrad, the Bodyland. We have a fetch land in Marshflats. Fetid Heath also sees some play because it's a filter land, so it allows you to play a basic swamp in your deck to go turn 1 Marshflats into a swamp. Thoughtseize you, only losing 3 life instead of 5 when you fetch Godless Shrine. And then the second turn going Plains, tap Plains and Fetid Heath to have double white. Now, I don't think that's worth it, so I'm not running the Heats, and the Caves of Koilos are also an option, but the fact that you have to pay life every time you tap them for a color kind of turned me down. So what I'm running is 4 Isolated Chapels, 4 Godless Shrine, 4 Marshflats, and then just 12 basic Plains. Because I don't really need more than that concerning black sources. Running 1 basic swamp would be good. I'm thinking about it, but on the other side you have to think about Spectral Procession. It's 3 white and I want to cast it on the 3rd turn, so mainly that's the only reason why I'm not running any only black sources. As far as sideboarding is concerned, that's something you actually have to see in your local metagame, so I'm not gonna give too much detail on it. Here on the slide you see a couple of cards that could be useful in white, just to give an idea, an example. Then there's one card I would like to talk about in particular. It's Batwing Broom. The effect to make them lose life for every attacking creature is very powerful against the Splinter Twin deck, and the Kiki Pot deck, because the Kiki Pot deck also uses infinite creatures to win. And well, it's just so fun to see the look on their face when you do this. I used to play Splinter Twin as well, and I never saw this card as an answer from the blue-white decks, or from the black-white decks, rather. Well, I like it. I play it now against the Twin deck. It's really something you should consider. Another option against them is, of course, Thopter Orb, but it's an artifact, so it can be removed. So that's why I don't like it. So we go to my final cut, the actual 60 cards I play. Doom Travelers, the Scholars as creatures, Thoughtseize and Duress as disruptions, Path to Exile because it's a catch-all, Lingering Soul, Spectral Procession and Raise the Alarm as token makers, Entreat the Angels, late game ending spell. Wanna change it for Zealous Persecution, as I already told you. The enchantments are the Intangible Virtues, the Planeswalkers, Sorin, 4 of course, because I love Sorin, it's like my favorite Planeswalker. Then we have the lands, yeah, just the Marshlands, Godless Shrine, Isolated Chapel, and the Plains, as I already told you. My own sideboard is listed here. I will explain it, but it's not really necessary that I do, because it's very personal and it's very metagame dependent. If I would take this deck to, say, a PTQ, this wouldn't be my sideboard, but it's just my sideboard for my local FNM. So the Batwing Brooms obviously for Splinter Twin and other very aggressive decks that get a million creatures out way too fast, which don't occur that much, but if you meet them, this could be good. Yeah, it's just awesome against them, and I have a lot of players playing this deck, and playing the deck very well, so I need them. The Inquisitions is against blue-white red control, because it just rips their hand of the removal spells that they hold. Everything up to Electrolyze can be taken by it. Usually you just take the Snapcaster Mage, because otherwise you're just gonna flash something else back. The Stony Silences are against Tron, the Kataki against Affinity, and the Oblivion Ring just a universal catch-all. So that was it for this week. This was my first video, and I hope to make some more. So the quality will of course go up once I get more views. This is just an experiment, but if you like it, subscribe and leave a like, so that I can know that people appreciate this, and then I will start making more MTG content. I will definitely make another video next week about Born of the Gods and spoiler news and what I feel about the new cards. So I hope you will join me then. Goodbye.